Alright, hi again everybody. This is gonna be my last video for today, and I'll get back on it tomorrow, and I'll bring you about 5 or 6 videos tomorrow. Okay. But the theme of the night, I guess, is Christmas holidays. So, okay, I'm gonna talk about 2 of my favorite Christmas movies. If I've talked about it before and you've heard it, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to repeat, but for all you new subscribers, viewers, it'll be new for you. So, all right. My my number one Christmas movie is It's a Wonderful Life. Um, I have to be honest, my dad tried to talk me into watching it when I was really young at first, and I was turned off by it being black and white. So I didn't watch it for a lot of years. But when I finally caved, I was glad I did. Um, because it's a great movie. Um, okay, it was made in 1939, and the main actors are, of course, Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed. Okay, so George, um, he has a family. George Bailey. Okay, um, he has a family, of course, and the you have to watch the whole movie to understand the whole movie. It's not like one of those where you can just kind of get into like and skip the first part and understand it. Maybe if you've seen it a bunch of times, but to really understand the full gravity of it, you have to watch every moment. So I suggest either getting it on DVD or having the ability to pause it so you don't have to miss um, key piece because it starts from the very beginning actually. And what happens is I'm going to spoil the movie, but I'm also going to explain why I love it so much. Okay. Um, in the beginning of the movie, we see George Bailey as a 9-year-old kid, 9 or 10, and he's apparently, I think the kids have a snow day off from school. So, of course, they all play in the snow. Well, they get the brilliant idea to try to sled down a hill on a shovel. Okay? Um, his kid brother, Peter, is the youngest of the group. And so he kind of has that need to prove that he's as good as the big kids. So he's like, I'm not afraid. I'll go down the hill. Okay, so he goes down the hill, and the ice and snow is a little weak in that area. So he literally goes through the snow. And if George wasn't there, his brother would not be alive. And his brother was 8. Okay. So, but you have to understand that part to understand the whole rest of it. Okay. So then, you know, George Bailey is considered a hero because he saved his brother, and but his main his big goal, I guess, for himself is he wants to travel. He says when he's a young kid, I'm gonna travel the world, and he gets on the fancy travel magazines. He wants to. He's a part of the Explorers Club. You know all this stuff. Meanwhile, now they're kids, okay? Donna Reed's character has a crush on him forever, but he doesn't notice her because, little boys, little girls, whatever. So there's this other girl, Georgette or something, who is always flirting with the boys, always, and she has the same personality all the way through her life because she says I think her name is Violet or something. Um, and she goes, all the boys, all the men stop in the street to stare at her. Like, they had a scene where this guy's going down, it's 1919 something. Okay, like 1919 or something. When they first made cars. Whenever that was, okay, I'm young, I'm kinda like I'm not so good with all the dates. But okay. So this guy is going down the street in his car. And it's one of those first made cars. And the horn is like, oh, like, okay, I have to do onomatopoeia for a second. Okay. It's like, oh god, when you when you do the horn. So, okay, the guy stops to stare at her crossing the street. And he backs up traffic. And all the people, the men, if it's mostly men, they don't care that he stopped traffic because they're all looking at her too. Um, and so when they grow up, yes, she says, "Oh, oh, Violet, that's some dress." And she goes, "Oh, this old thing. I wear this when I don't care what I look like." Okay, so then on the other side is Donna Reed's character. And okay, so then, and also you have to understand that Donna Reed is a couple years younger than George. And it doesn't matter when you're kids, but when you're older, I guess it matters. I don't know. So anyway, and he's older than his brother. He's like the oldest boy or whatever, you know. So then I'm gonna go forward a little bit. Okay. So then they're at a party because Peter, his brother, is on the dessert committee or something. And he says, "Well, George, why don't you go? Like, you can go." And he's like, his father, who he calls Pop, is trying to convince him to go to this party, right? And he goes, "Well, Pop, what would I do there? I'm like older than all the kids, and like I wouldn't have any fun and whatever." And then he convinces him kind of to go to the party. So then Peter and George go to the party, and they get split up and stuff. But then the his brother, her brother knows George, so he says, "Could you dance with my kid sister? You give her the thrill of a lifetime." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." So then they dance, and turns out they have fun. And also, there's a prank in the movie. Okay, these kids who don't like certain groups decide to put the key in so that the floor will separate. And when the floor separates, there's a swimming pool. Okay? So it turns from a dance to a pool party. So, okay. Then, because everybody has wet clothes, she has to get dried off and stuff. So she's in a bathrobe with the name of the school, Bedford Hills High School. And that's where they live. Okay. So then uh he's gonna kiss her, he's thinking about kissing her, but then he has to leave because something happened to his father, and it turns out his father had a stroke and the whole thing. Okay. So then, the moral of the story is enjoy your life where you are, because whatever goals and stuff, you may not reach it. But just because you have a little life, what you consider a little life, doesn't mean it's not important. It's a Wonderful Life. Okay, so on to topic or video number 2. All right, this is a second favorite of mine, and it may reveal my age a little bit, and it may make me sound whatever, but like corny or something, but I don't care. Okay, my second favorite holiday movie is Home Alone. The first version, not Home Alone 2. Home Alone 2 is okay. I mean, it's a good movie, okay? But Home Alone 1 is awesome. I don't care how old you are, how many times you've seen it, if you don't laugh at least once in that movie, there's something wrong with you. Okay, so this movie was made in 1990. Okay? It stars Macaulay Culkin, John Hurt, and Catherine O'Hara as the main people. And then there's Robert Blossom and Devin something. And there's a lot of supporting because it's all the kids. Okay? The point is, of course, Kevin McAllister's left home alone. The funny part is the fact that his parents freak out when they find out they left him home alone. The mother feels like she's a terrible mother because she left her child alone, and who would dare do that? And all this stuff. And all she's trying to do is get back home. And nobody will help her. They're giving her all these rules and like, well, I'd like to help you, but I can't, because we don't do that. And, I got a procedures and okay. So then the funny part is the guy who plays his brother. Okay, first of all, he's not that bright. I mean, I'm just being kind, but still, I'm just saying. Because he says, A, we live on the most boring street in America. 2, like it doesn't make any sense, like no order. So, okay. But he says all this stuff. And the one time they're gone, the house gets broken into by cops or people who pretend to be cops, which is Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. Okay, now their team name is the Wet Bandits. And why this is important is because apparently the other cops have been looking for him for a long time. And in the last little bit of the movie, they say, oh, Daniel Stern, because Joe Pesci knows to keep his mouth shut, right? So Daniel Stern says, yeah, and we're the Wet Bandits, and he spells it out. And then the other cop says, oh, great. Now we know every how, and he starts giving them the signature whatever move, and he's like, now we know every single house you've hit. And you can see Joe Pesci wants to kill him. Okay. The funniest part, beside all that, is number 1, all the booby traps that Kevin sets, and the way that they go through them, because they start off with everything, right? Then they fall down the stairs a couple times. They get busted in the snow. I mean, you name it, it's done to them. And they don't get anything because they get caught by the cops. So the whole thing is like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, whatever, of hilarity from start to finish. And a little bit of oddness too. But I mean, if you can get over the fact that it's basically a kid's movie or a family movie, then it's aces, because I love it and I've been watching it since I was 8, 9 years old, and have watched it consecutively pretty much every year that I could find it on TV. And I found it on DVD finally, and I just got the two of them together because it was a better deal. But I watched the first one a lot, like every holiday season, and even when it's not holidays, I watch it. So, um, thanks for all the support. It means a lot. I'm glad you really like my content because, as I said before, I really enjoy making it, and I'm just trying to make this place and the experience a more positive one, whatever way I can.